I'm Aron Ralston, and what the devil are you watching? Making the film has been a 7-year project for me that I've been involved from the very first email that I got from one of the producers. I was still in the hospital at that time. So this has been almost 8 years now that we've been working on it. And when I met Danny Boyle and having my book being adapted, I went through a struggle really of like being very strongly attached to every detail of the experience and realizing I needed to give it to the film team at first in order for them to be able to take it and be creative with it. So there was like an unattachment and cultivating that. It was something I relied a lot on my wife, Jessica, in order for her to help me through that period of letting the artists do their work. She's an artist too, so she had some personal perspectives on that. That working with James Franco was a delight. I wish we had more time. He's such a frenetic, kind of manically paced guy that what little time we had, we spent was very intense, and it was just always a pleasure. But he got all the little details, so in the end, that even my family and friends who saw the film, and they've all said how amazed they were that he got me, that there were these little moments or vignettes that he did something and they said, "That's so you, Aron." So it was a lot of fun, definitely unlike anything I've ever gone through or done before in my life, even with all the familiarity that I've had with the story and in sharing it, having a news documentary made, all the other projects that I've done and interviews. It was just a standalone experience. And so if anybody is considering having their life story made, I think, into a movie, definitely call Danny Boyle and see if he'll take it up, because he was just the most genuine, respectful, friendly guy. And he would hold our baby through an entire meal. When Leo won't sit still in our arms long enough, but for some reason Danny's just got like the vibe that and he'd happily do it. He remembered the names of all my friends, and they came to the set, and among many things, like that was a good example. He had 15 of my untrained friends be actors in the movie in the very ending scenes, and that I just don't know anybody else who would want that, like for an authentic touch that no viewer is going to know unless I say it. But those are my real friends and family at the end of the film, and that's I think a great example of how respectful he was and how touched I was with all of it. It's a major honor. I mean, between the Golden Globe nominations and the Academy Award nominations and several other awards and recognitions that the film has picked up, I totally believe that the filmmakers deserve every bit of it, including James Franco for his performance. And just the most important thing over the whole project for me was the authenticity of the movie, and that it would inspire people, that it would really touch them in, I think, a profound way, which it does. And I've felt pleased with it, and so to have the recognition coming along, I think is a deserved piece of just appreciation from the public that yes, this is an important film, that these are important messages for people to get, and they were creatively, I just think, genius in how they took what was essentially on paper almost an impossible story to tell and put it up on a screen. That it's one guy in one place for all this time, and yet they make it suspenseful, even though you more or less know the outcome when you walk in to see it. And so I feel so happy that they're being acknowledged. I think that several of the big lessons were ones that I really took while I was trapped, and yet that I sort of put them on a shelf for years in some cases afterwards. That what really kept me alive while I was trapped was the memories and relationships of my family and my friends, that love that kept me going while I was there. And to be able to come out of the canyon, then to have my life again, I think I just went back into being the same old self-centered, brazen, some people might call arrogant guy that I had been beforehand, and I kind of put it away. I procrastinated is maybe a personality trait of mine, that I sort of shelved those lessons that life is really about the people that are there, and I went right back to making it more about the accomplishments and achievements that I spent my time pursuing. So that was a major one, and with time, it's been something that I've incorporated more, and that those lessons have changed me, and yet it's also something that I struggled with over a long time. I think there's maybe the simple lessons that, like, carry a sharper knife and to let people know where you're going and some of those kinds of things. I've definitely applied those much earlier, but the kind of bigger, maybe more philosophical lessons about life and what's important about life and living, that those took more time. I do, and climbing for several years was even more important to me. It was, in some instances, kind of a recuperation, like a recovery period for my spirit, to get back to the outdoors, to keep climbing, to go on all kinds of different adventures, even beyond mountaineering, but like rafting and ski mountaineering and some of the other kinds of activities. I was very much into the activities for many years, and that motivation was still coming from a place, I think, in large degree, of trying to fill myself up, to make myself feel like I was good enough in my life. Having those same, I guess, self-esteem issues from before, once I no longer had a right hand, that it became even more important to establish that I am capable in my life. I took that maybe to a further point than the average person might, trying to prove that to myself. But it was part of the same, I guess, course of setting that aside after time, to understand I'm a valid person, no better or worse than anybody else, just by my internal essence, and I don't have to prove something by climbing a mountain. I could see where that was headed in the longer term. I was going to end up dead on one mountain or another, or a river or another, or a canyon here or there, and I knew I didn't need to prove that anymore. I had shown that, okay, I am capable, I am good enough. And so it's I guess in some ways there were those very strong motivations to get back, and in other ways it was kind of like that was the lesson I really needed to learn all along, was that I don't have to prove myself by climbing. I think it's the lessons for any particular person, or the inspiration is something for them, that I hope that it's for each and every person who might be there to see the film, to read my book, to hear me in person, that it touches them in the way that they need it to. I think that it's more than just any one particular thing. There were lessons that I needed out of this that I've taken and I've tried to absorb. They're just the same are lessons for other people, about maybe people walk out of there and they call their moms, and to deepen a relationship, maybe to find hope in a situation where they didn't have much hope before, or perspective. I've kind of become fond of saying that any day when you don't have to drink your own urine isn't really that bad of a day. So that for me, that helps me even when I have trouble, during travels or flight issues or other kinds of things that I deal with when I'm at home with my family, and there are always going to be adversities in our lives, but to see those as our gifts, that those are given to us in order to really bring a full life for us. That's how we grow. So hopefully people will see that they can at the very least see that my story is not a tragedy, but really that it was a blessing and a gift.